How are you going to win $40,000 this week playing Battle Royales on Underdog Fantasy? Well, I hope you get a top 3 pick. Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, and Christian McCaffrey are projected for so many more points than everyone else in the player pool that I do think this is sort of like the old fantasy basketball problem. A lot of you guys probably are unfamiliar with this, but back in the day, the reason that third round reversal became a thing in fantasy in general was a Shaquille O'Neal problem. This also was a LaDainian Tomlinson problem in fantasy football, where there was one player who was so much better than everyone else that it effectively made the situation untenable. We can look over here at the Run the Sims projections. You've got Bijan Robinson for 25, Jonathan Taylor for 25, Christian McCaffrey for 21. Houston Texans defense is pretty good. I tend to think that McCaffrey is the third of these players, but I would not meaningfully change my strategy. Like, I do think that Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, and Christian McCaffrey are far and away the best picks, which is not to say that you cannot win Battle Royale this week if you take CeeDee Lamb or if you take Jamar Chase or if you get James Cook. I would not say that that is true. What I would say is that this is certainly a week where you are going to feel a lot better about your teams leaving a lobby after having a top 3 pick. And certainly, just for the sake of uniqueness, you should never be passing on any of those guys. So I hope that those guys are sitting there right at the top of your ranks. In terms of the games that we have going on, the issue this week is all the spreads. Well, they're not great, right? This is the issue. You've got 6.5 points for the Bengals, 7.5 points for the Bills. You do have 1.5 for the Texans and the 49ers, but that is a 41.5 point total. 7-point touchdown favorites for the Eagles, 6.5 point favorites for the New England Patriots, 6.5 points for the Ravens, 7.5 for the Falcons, only 4.5 in Tampa Bay and New Orleans, 3.5 for Dallas and Denver, 14.5 for the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans. Absolutely brutal stuff in terms of how many of these games are going to turn into huge blowouts. How many of these games are going to be competitive in the fourth quarter? For example, last week, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, even Isaiah Pacheco, those Chiefs players had artificial caps put on their ceiling because the Kansas City Chiefs only had 5 drives last week. Will the Indianapolis Colts only have 5 drives this week? Will the Atlanta Falcons, right? Is Drake London a bad pick? Right? I mean, I don't think Drake London is a bad pick, but what I do think is that some of these games, and I'm not from the future, so I don't know, the Patriots game, the Ravens game, multiples of these games are going to be non-competitive by the second half, and that is basically just the way that it goes. So as always, we are going to do our skeleton keys, aka the top plays, my favorite plays for Battle Royale games over on Underdog Fantasy. Starting at the quarterback position, I will say as of right now, very, very hard for me to click Josh Allen. Has nothing to do with Josh Allen in and of himself. He is projected quite well, depending on where you get your projections from. He's either the first or the second highest scoring quarterback. But it's just very hard in the context of BRs for me to click him over Derrick Henry. Honestly, I don't even like Barkley, but I like Barkley in the context of this slate. Emeka Egbuka, Tyler Warren. Lamar is a much more comfortable click, assuming that he is going to be starting this week, which as of right now, he got in a limited practice on Wednesday. The Ravens had their bye week. I feel pretty confident he will be. Jalen Hurts coming off of the big passing game last week. He's very interesting because A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith have their highest Battle Royale ADPs basically of the year. You might notice one Mr. Bo Nix being projected for 21.83 points. That's more than Hurts. That's more than Dak. That's more than May. That's more than Baker Mayfield. There, for me, is your first skeleton key of the week. Bo Nix with Sutton. Bo Nix with Troy Franklin, Bo Nix with Marvin Mims, Bo Nix. I didn't think we'd be here at this point in the season, but the Dallas Cowboys defense is so unbelievably poor. I don't really think we have fully conceived just how much of a Coors Field impact the Dallas Cowboys are giving up. They have given up 1,822 passing yards. That's more than anyone else. 7.2 net adjusted yards per attempt. They have also allowed 8 rushing touchdowns, which is tied for 9th in football. If we go down here to advanced rushing defense, the Dallas Cowboys are negative 25 expected points for rushing defense. If we look at a negative expected passing defense, negative 64 EPA on defense. And they play fast. That's the other thing on top of it. Bo Nix, do I think Bo Nix is a very good NFL quarterback? Honestly, I really don't. I actually probably have a lower opinion of Bo Nix than kind of the average NFL fan, but he generates rushing statistics. Had 35 points in the fourth quarter last week, like truly unbelievable stuff from one Mr. Bo Nix. He will probably end up being my highest drafted quarterback of the slate. After that, I mean, you guys are smart enough. We've done this how many weeks in a row? Look at this unbelievably good menu of quarterbacks we have who are not 100% drafted. Obviously, you want to do Dak with Lamb. You want to do Dak with George Pickens. You want to do Dak with Jake Ferguson. Daniel Jones is insanely high leverage on Jonathan Taylor. What I don't love about Daniel Jones is his draft rate should trend a little bit higher this week. He's the quarterback 7. Last week, he was the quarterback 9. I believe his closing line ADP ended up being, I believe it was a 35. Anytime the closing line ADP trends that low, it means that they are going to be on like a really low number of teams. Drake May, I don't think you want to stack him this week. I don't want to do a ton of Stephon Diggs. I don't want to do a ton of Hunter Henry. I do think you probably can scroll on down for Ramondre Stevenson a little bit, but May has the rushing ceiling. Doesn't Drake May basically have the same rushing outcome as Bo Nix? He just isn't going to get pushed. Bo Nix could have 2 rushing touchdowns in the first half against the Cleveland Browns. He is a very ideal scroll. We have my boy Jackson Dart, who has scored 29.4, 23.6, 17.5, and 19.8 fantasy points per game. Jackson Dart is averaging, as of right now, 22.5 points per game. That would have tied Joe Burrow last season for the overall quarterback 3. Now, is every matchup going to be this good? Is Jackson Dart always going to find his way to generate rushing yards? I mean, he almost didn't last week, right? Like, we were trending towards a relatively disappointing game for Jackson Dart and a very disappointing game for Bo Nix. But I would estimate, with Jackson Dart being drafted at 35.4, I would guess that Jackson Dart is probably going to be on 900 teams, 1,000 teams in the whole big battle royale. That's a very low rate for a guy with his ceiling. And you also don't have to stack him. And then Caleb Williams, I mean, this explains itself. Now, Jacob did some very good analysis on thinking about DFS, which you guys can watch after you watch this, where he talked about how the Ravens, after their bye week, are getting a decent amount of fellas back in their lineup. So it's not going to be this league worst defense that we were imagining. Like, I think the defense is probably going to be, let's call it 10% worse than league average, right? As opposed to the literal worst defense in football. But he's a really good stacking partner with Rome Odunze and Colston Loveland, who we are going to talk about a little bit later. But my overall strategy at the quarterback position is I am going to be a little bit lighter on Josh Allen. Assuming that Lamar hangs out and is routinely available in the 3rd round, I will probably make a concerted effort to get more Lamar teams in the field. I do like Hurts and AJ Brown. I'm a little bit worried that it is going to be over-owned. I'm worried that that's maybe going to be one of the most common combinatorial pairings in the field, which makes me like a little bit less because there is not as much scroll equity at running back and wide receiver this week. It's a smaller week, smaller slate, bye weeks, injuries. You guys know the deal. It is, of course, the bye-pocalypse. Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, Evan Ingram, even J.K. Dobbins. I love those pairings. Baker and Igbuka is fine. I would not consider Baker and Igbuka to be a core part of my strategy. Maybe if I'm drafting 150 teams this weekend, maybe I do 4 Baker and Igbuka teams, something like that. Maybe those are famous last words, but that's how I feel. Dak, Lamb, Dak Pickens, Dak Ferguson. You guys are smart enough. You don't need me to tell you that those are good pairings. I do like Daniel Jones unstacked, uncorrelated. I like Drake May unstacked, uncorrelated. I like Jackson Dart unstacked, uncorrelated. And of course, as Mr. Dowens notes, Caleb Williams, and Colston Loveland is a beautiful double scroll that I also love. And these other guys, if we get confirmation that Purdy's ruled in, I think that's kind of interesting. But that is where we are at for skeleton keys for the quarterback position. Moving now to running backs. As I said, boy, do you really want to get a top 3 pick. That is just about as simple as it gets. But we have a couple other interesting wrinkles here at the running back position, which is that Saquon Barkley has now been so poor for enough weeks in a row that his projection is starting to actually suffer. At the running back position, we have a clear top tier of JT, Bijan, McCaffrey, 18 points for Barkley in half PPR scoring, 17.8 for James Cook, 17.8 for A-Chain, and the top number 1 gold mega bazillion star play of the slate is Rachaad White. Now, what's going to end up happening with Rachaad White, though, his ADP is not going to last at 28.5. I would guess by the time many of you are watching this on replay, so by Thursday evening, by the time Vikings Chargers is kicking off, maybe some of you guys watch this on Friday, Rachaad White is going to be the running back. Probably he might even end up going ahead of Saquon or right next to Saquon, but he is going to be a second round pick in underdog battle royale contests. So I wouldn't even, I'm not going to give myself credit for knowing that Rachaad White is a good pick. Javonte Williams is a super mega crazy skeleton key. He basically has one of the most unassailable workloads in the NFL. He gets the old revenge game, which I think is overstated by many people most of the time. However, this is one of the most obvious spots, but really it's not even about the revenge against Denver. Javonte Williams is 7th in the National Football League in utilization rate. His utilization rate is better than Jahmyr Gibbs, Kyren Williams, Saquon Barkley, Cam Scatterbo. This season, he has handled 69% of his team's rush attempts. He runs a route on 61% of dropbacks. He has an 11% target share. He handles all the work inside the 5. He plays on long down and distance. He plays the 2-minute drill. Javonte Williams is just at running back 10, underdrafted. And I would expect that to be meaningfully represented in the projections relatively soon. I have an interesting one here. I personally am having a hard time getting to Breece Hall as a really, really strong click. I know that he projects okay. I don't think that I am falling over myself to play Breece Hall. I think that Breece is going to be underdrafted relative to what our baseline expectation was for him last year. Does that mean that he shouldn't be clicked at this ADP? I don't think so. I think at 33.1, that's very reasonable. The field is, of course, going to be playing Dobbins against Dallas, who I think is very good. But, he is going to be owned comparatively to Quinshon Judkins. Quinshon Judkins is like the opposite of a skeleton key this week. Quinshon Judkins never gets the ball in the passing game. The total for that spot is so low. Quinshon Judkins has 6% of the Cleveland Browns targets. He runs 27% of the routes. He has 3% of their long down and distance snaps and 16% of their 2-minute drills. I just can't really get with clicking Judkins at close to, I'm going to guess something like 85 total percent ownership. I do like the aforementioned J.K. Dobbins. I don't think that I want to make him, I wouldn't want to have 2x the field on him, but he does play a meaningful amount of the snaps. If we look at just the most recent couple of weeks, he has actually increased his rushing share. The problem with Dobbins is he does not get the passing game work that I thought. They're giving Tyler Beatty these snaps. They're giving Jaleel McLaughlin these snaps. I would certainly consider him to be a scroll, but even 34.7 at his overall ADP doesn't mean that he's truly like on less than 1,000 teams. I think you can certainly go back to Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre is just the absolute lead back for the New England Patriots. There's no debating it. There's no arguing it. He kind of is what Josh McDaniel has liked out of his lead guy, where he handles all the work inside the 5-yard line, right after Antonio Gibson got banged up. But he also is capable on long down and distance. Now, McDaniel has always had these segmented roles in the backfield, but he does not segment out the roles the way that other teams kind of historically have, where it's like this down and distance is always going to be this player and this down and distance is always going to be this player. Like if you think back to, and maybe this will be dating myself a little bit, but like the Rex Burkhead role inside the Josh McDaniels offense was just so specialized that there was never room for anyone else to take that from him when he was active. But now the Patriots are essentially running a 2-man backfield, but the second man just doesn't really get the ball. Trevion Henderson is not a big part of the team's plans. And more than anything, they're kind of rotating drives, but it's 3 drives for Ramondre, 1 drive for Trevion Henderson. I'm not saying that Trevion Henderson's dead. I'm not saying that you can never draft him again, but Ramondre as, again, at 35.9, that's going to be something like 5% drafted. It's totally fine. And then, I mean, James Cook, right? James Cook, I would say probably the biggest thing for me about James Cook is it does not matter that he's not going to catch any passes. James Cook does not have a reception of a pass in October. Every other running back, this is true. Every other running back who has played a snap in the NFL in October, I believe, has a reception, or 80 other running backs or backfield players have a reception, but not James Cook. No receptions for James Cook in the entirety of October, but it does not matter. I like James Cook more than I like A-Chain. I do really like Derrick Henry. I mean, maybe my structural note would be that I prefer later wide receivers, later tight ends, and in the first 2 rounds, I want running backs a lot. Now, I think that will probably be a pretty common practice amongst drafters this week. And as always, when something becomes common practice amongst everyone, maybe you wouldn't want to be following it, but these guys are just so strong. So quick cliff notes for running back strategy: Bijan, JT, McCaffrey, James Cook, Derrick Henry fit every build. Rachaad White is probably the most important player to draft on Thursday before you get his ADP rising. Javonte is the perfectly cromulent running back too. Breece Hall, assuming that he stays around this ADP, is a target, but you don't want to go overweight. J.K. Dobbins is a clear gem. Ramondre Stevenson is a clear gem. I do not really like Chase Brown. I do not really like Rico Dowdle. I don't really like Alvin Kamara. I will not be clicking Kyle Monangai. I will not be clicking Tyler Algier. Woody Marks, I think you could click in 12-mans. Now, wide receiver really is going to throw us for a loop because we have got some radically different exposures at this position. Of course, you have got Jamar Chase better than everyone, CeeDee Lamb better than everyone else, Drake London, Cortland Sutton projecting for 13.1 half PPR points, George Pickens, Emeka Egbuka, Zay Flowers, Nico Collins will, I assume, be removed relatively soon from the projections over at Run the Sims, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, all these guys are being a little bit overdrafted. But what you find that's very interesting, just a huge flat range of guys after that. And because there are no mega wide receiver projections other than Jamar Chase, like I think that there are many scenarios in which Jamar Chase gets his projection, CeeDee Lamb maybe beats their projection, and they're still not even coming close to touching optimals because of the way that running back scoring is going up top. I don't love Drake London, and hear me out. First off, there's a real big issue that Drake London has, which is Darnell Mooney. My good friend Scott Barrett has pointed this out, that in games that Darnell Mooney and Drake London have both played, they both average between 45 and 56 receiving yards per game. All of Drake London's big career smashes have come with Darnell Mooney banged up, leaving the game, not finishing the game, or inactive. Now, does that mean Drake London is bad? Of course it doesn't mean that Drake London is bad, but it does mean that in a game that they are projected to win by so much at home in the Dome, I wonder if this is a really limited Michael Penix drop back game. So, for example, just looking at where guys are at in ADP, I definitely prefer Tyler Warren. And I think I prefer Ibuka. I think that I do like Emeka Egbuka a little bit more. Igbuka's utilization has been very strong. He came back from his injury maybe a little bit too early last week. If we look at just the week 7 utilization for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receivers, 23% of the targets, 25% targets per route run, but only 9.8 fantasy points. If we look at all the weeks before that, the utilization actually was not as strong. 23% of the targets. That was behind Mike Evans in the games that they played together. But he was obviously just a lot better in those games. Igbuka is the only game in town against a team that has absolutely nothing, just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, without Mike Evans, without Jalen McMillan, without Chris Godwin, without Bucky Irving, they are going to build the entire plane out of Emeka Egbuka. I think that he is. I think my truth serum here would be I definitely like Egbuka more than Barkley, and I probably like Egbuka more than I like Drake London. GM to my good friend Aaron Kenny, a member of the Davis Maddock YouTube channel. Reminder that you can become a member of the channel, get members only videos, and come hang out with us in the Discord where we are talking fantasy football 24/7. Courtland Sutton, obvious, got to highlight him as a gem. I mean, is it a gem? He's a second-round pick. I certainly want to be overweight on Courtland Sutton. I want to be overweight kind of everyone in that game. I really think that Chris Olave, as a 100% drafted player, might end up being, in hindsight, one of those things that we feel a little, just a smidgen silly about. I think that I probably prefer Shaheed. Flowers is certainly a target for me. Zay Flowers was he was actually going to finally have the season that we all wanted. And then Lamar Jackson got injured, which is, of course, very unfortunate because I know a lot of people were super in to Zay Flowers. But if we look at the games that he played, 30% target share, 30% target share. Where do you guys think that would rank in the NFL? 71% utilization. I mean, I can tell you where it would rank, which is it would rank really, 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 really high. Flowers is basically my favorite click with Lamar, and I think that you can obviously do him without Lamar. Another thing that I would say to put a hat on top of a hat with Zay Flowers would be that there is absolutely no room for the Baltimore Ravens to dick around. The Baltimore Ravens have won one football game. Are we widely aware that the Baltimore Ravens have won one football game? This is not let's hang on and we'll run Derrick Henry and we'll run a couple plays for Justice Hill and we'll do a Mark Andrews tush push. No, there's no dicking around. I think that Flowers is an absolute jam. As my good friend Mr. Garrick says, Olave being 100% drafted is certainly incredibly last week brained. I am not super hip to that. Not that I would not click Chris Olave, but I would not consider him a core part of my strategy. Certainly do not consider T. Higgins, Nico Collins, or Michael Pittman Jr. a core part of my strategy. I think, again, Nico Collins is not going to play, so I would not click him unless there's a reason in a given lineup that you want to embrace the volatility of a Q tag. Teteroy McMillan, that is my number one gold star, lock it up play of the week. Teteroy McMillan will end up being my most drafted wide receiver this week in Underdog Battle Royale games. Andy Dalton will be taking over by all accounts and standards this weekend, Andy Dalton came in last year against the Las Vegas Raiders for Bryce Young, had 330 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns. I expect Andy Dalton to have a Jacoby Brissett, Joe Flacco-esque impact on the Carolina Panthers. And I don't even mean that particularly in a way to disparage Bryce Young. I think that Bryce Young has done a lot of what he can do with the physical gifts that he has and the way that he can approach the game. But there is a clear generational split between the old guard of Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, these guys. I would say, if I had to summarize it in a sentence, it would be that these guys do not care about your cover two. They feel comfortable throwing the ball in ways that beat cover two. They also don't care about the disguises that a defense will put on either during a play or before the play, because they know the throw that they want to execute more than the defense knows how they want to execute stopping. Now, could Andy Dalton play really bad in this game? I don't think so. Or I certainly think so. I would guess that he probably would play relatively poorly in the context of playing winning football. I don't think that the Carolina Panthers are drawing live in this game. But what I do know is that Andy Dalton is going to play a more fantasy-friendly and conducive style of football. My good friend Jacob Sanderson just wrote this great article on his Substack about dropback rate and how it influences fantasy points. And one of the things that we don't think about in fantasy football is how often a dropback turns into non-available fantasy points. So obviously the number one guy in the NFL of turning a dropback into a completed pass is Matt Stafford. He has a really low rate of batted balls. He never scrambles. He never takes sacks. The worst quarterback in the NFL, Justin Fields. Only 69%, very not nice number, of Justin Fields' dropbacks turn into available fantasy points for receivers, whether that be batted ball, turnover, sack, scramble, throwaway, a lot of different ways for that to turn poor. Andy Dalton is going to trend way more towards, first off, he's never going to scramble. Andy Dalton is not great in terms of sacks, but he's definitely better than Bryce Young is in terms of taking sacks. So Teteroy McMillan, if you want to scroll for a wide receiver, Teteroy McMillan is going to be your guy, but it does not stop there. Jalen Waddle, that is an all-time fade the public, fade the emotion, only go on what the data tells you play, because Jalen Waddle's target shares and usage with no Tyreek Hill has been definitely better than you think. Like, I bet if I asked you right now, what has Jalen Waddle's usage been in non-Tyreek games, you'd be like, oh, dude, he's stunk. This guy never gets the ball. He has a 70 utilization. He's averaged 13.8 PPR points per game. He has an 8 out of 16.6. He plays all the time. He runs 78% of the routes. He gets a dome game with a quarterback who doesn't really like to throw the ball deep. Again, I'm not really clicking him, but he's certainly there. Wandale, I think, is certainly a click. And obviously, I mean, you guys did not fall off the turnip truck yesterday. Rashid Shaheed and Marvin Mims, whatever the field is going to be drafting these guys at, I will be doubling their rate. So if the field takes them 5% of the time, I will, as in 5% of total drafts they are drafted, I will be doubling that as well. Also, a reminder for Jalen Waddle that Darren Waller is on the injured reserve as well. Love both of those guys. I do think you can click DJ Moore. This is someone put this in the chat. Yes, as Corey said, it is a very, very, very strong scroll the F down week at wide receiver. One of the strongest I can really remember. And I wouldn't say that the strength comes from the fact that there are so many names to click, although there are. The strength comes from the fact that T. Higgins at wide receiver 12 and Devonta Smith at wide receiver 11. What are these guys projected at? We've got Devonta Smith for 11.6. Waddle's at 11.6 as well. Diggs is at 11.6. Garrett Wilson's at 11.57. Basically, it's all flat. And if it's all flat, then the simulated difference between Rashid Shaheed projecting for 8.5 half PPR points and T. Higgins projecting for 10.24 just really is not that massive. I mean, it's not to say there's no distinction, and that I definitely don't think that you should be like, I'm taking Rashid Shaheed, Marvin Mims, or Troy Franklin on every team, because that's spreading yourself too thin, and nothing is worse than ending a BR slate, with $0 returned. But even like, I don't know, could you click Juwan Jennings at a dead 36.0 and six mans? Like, I think you probably could. But the Skelly keys for me, a wide receiver: Cortland Sutton, Zay Flowers, Tedderoy McMillan, Wandale Robinson, Rashid Shaheed, Marvin Mims. It's Short King Summer Dude. Moving to the tight end position, this one will be a little bit of an open and shut case, where Tyler Warren is the clear best pick. In fact, I would probably right now anticipate, I'd like to end with Tyler Warren being on 25% of my Battle Royale teams. He feels phenomenally good. I do not like Jake Ferguson near as much, and it doesn't really have anything to do with Jake Ferguson himself. I think he is a little overpriced relative to this game, because I don't think the Cowboys are going to have it all their own way against the Denver Broncos. I mean, Patrick Surtain is a very, very limiting factor. Nick Bonito is one of the better pass rushers in the NFL. The Cowboys have largely stitched it together with their patchwork offensive line, but they have missed up to as many of 4 of their offensive linemen. I don't know the exact status on their health for this upcoming week, but I know the Denver Broncos defensive line is quite good. George Kittle, I would say I think that he probably is a better straight up pick than Jake Ferguson. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would anticipate that his projection would be relatively strong. Interesting to see he's 9.31. I wonder if that will be changed at all. I assume that Adam and Utica have not done like a full play-by-play review, although very funny to see how flat the position is. I'm tempted to make Dalton Kincaid a skeleton key, but I'm not going to, because he's Dalton Kincaid. I don't know if the brand would ever recover from that. Dalton Kincaid is certainly a lot better than the haters, of which I am one, pretended that he could be. Dalton Kincaid is 6th in the NFL amongst tight ends in terms of targets per route run. His utilization rate super, super high at the position, more than Tucker Kraft, more than Hunter Henry, higher than Travis Kelce. Weirdly, Dalton Schultz is projecting very strong this week. It's not fully updated yet in the Run the Sims stuff, but he will be. He will certainly be improved. Now, I wonder, with the influence that the Establish the Run projections has, I wonder if Schultz actually becomes a bad pick, because his projection is in the same neighborhood as Goddard, as Pitts, as Henry, as Fannin, as Ingram. But his draft rate, once everyone uploads the projections into their applet, is going to be super high. So I would not include him there on that list. I love Mark Andrews with Lamar Jackson. And frankly, I like him even without. I think that the death of Mark Andrews has been a little bit overstated if we pull the fantasy life stuff up and we remove the first couple games and Mark Andrews still couldn't move. Over their most recent month of games, 21% of the targets. Isaiah Likely has been back for 3 games. He's run the literal same number of routes. He has generated a 5% targets per route run. Like, over that same time frame, they both been active. They've both been healthy, right? Since week 4, they both run the same number of routes. Mark Andrews, 22% of the targets. Isaiah Likely, 4. I think that you certainly can click Mark Andrews. Outside of that, I will give you, from the bottom of my heart, a play that I hope makes me money. I hope it makes you money. If it doesn't help me win $40,000 playing BR this week, God, do I hope that Colston Loveland happens. The reason that I hope it happens is because I think that people should be rewarded for playing well. And Colston Loveland is a great example of a guy to click early in the week where no one is going to be on him. There's not an obvious Q tag to take at this point. Cole Kmet hurt his back last week. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I'm 33 years old. My back certainly does not bounce back, no pun intended, as much as it does. According to reports from around the team, Komet is unlikely to suit up with, and I quote, a herniated disc in his back. Not loving that. And if we look at the available route share for the Chicago Bears, there's actually a lot of meat on the bone. First off, since the team's bye week, Colson Loveland has the same amount of I mean, it's just actually insane that he's been able to earn this many targets on this few of the routes. Durham Smythe has literally not been targeted in the month of October. He is out there just as an offensive lineman. And in fact, if we just move to the flex position for the Chicago Bears, Colson Loveland and DJ Moore basically have the same utilization over the most recent month of the season. I think that we are going to see Colston Loveland scale up to about 80% of the snaps this week. And I think that we see Colston Loveland earn between 4 and 8 targets for the Chicago Bears against the Baltimore Ravens. Colston Loveland is absolutely one of my favorite plays. And as my good friend Nick notes, he ran 21 of 23 routes once Cole Kmet left the game last week with his back injury. So Colston Loveland at an average draft position of 35.9. I mean, that indicates something like he might actually be on like 200 total BR teams. Like there are 123 people watching this live right now. If all of us took Colston Loveland once in Battle Royale, that would probably double his projected ownership. So there you go. George Kittle, Mark Andrews, Colston Loveland. Wonder what the handicap of that tight end room is. And there is a deep look at a high-level strategic approach to playing Battle Royale this week. Maybe it will work. Results were not particularly great for me. I guess they actually really were not. They really were not that bad. Just didn't get all the right pieces together in one, which is, that's kind of the name of the game as it pertains to Battle Royales. I've got a sheet running to get some rankings up in another tab. I downloaded some projections, and we're going to see. I've noticed that the projections have been chopping and changing a lot between Thursday and Friday recently. I have 115 main BRs left to go. Have not done any of the side contests yet, really. Okay. All right. There you go. First draft, and we get a 6th pick, which I don't love, but how do you win when you draft out of the top 3 picks? Well, there are a couple different ways you can do. The first thing is you can just take the chalk, right? You could just do Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb. The other thing is you can definitely try and get weird when you sacrifice projection. And don't get me wrong, we are sacrificing a lot of the projection at this current stage. I obviously really like taking Lamb. I don't agree with this ranking on Barkley, and that will be the first thing I tweak when I pull my sheet up. I am taking James Cook over Barkley 100% of the time. Now, maybe that'll end up being bad. Won't be the first time I make a bad choice in BR. Certainly will not be the last time that I make a bad choice in BR. But I'm not letting James Cook beat me this week because it is just too good of a spot. Yeah, this is my favorite. Basically, you bring a knife to a gunfight with Henry and Cook, but sometimes a knife can beat a gun if you're good and quick. Okay, so as always, Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey go, Jamar Chase goes, CeeDee Lamb is very likely to go here, and I also think you could certainly do a couple Cook Allens and just say they completely blow the Panthers out. I have considered what if Keon Coleman goes for 9, 144, and 3. It's certainly possible. I believe the Panthers are relatively strong against the run, but what you guys have to understand about, and we are going to do James Cook, and we are going to take Derrick Henry. What you guys have to understand about the way that Joe Brady and the Buffalo Bills operate is, in our minds, the way that you and I would choose to approach fixing the Buffalo Bills offense, what you and I would do was we'd say, okay, well, we have this all-world, unbelievably good quarterback. We have receivers who are not particularly good, but they can at least kind of get open. The Buffalo Bills are right now not even a top 5 team in total points. In terms of total yards, they are outside of the top 5. What they are going to do is they are going to run the ball. They're going to be like, oh my God, you guys know that 6th offensive lineman we play? We're going to play that 6th. I believe his name is Eric Anderson. It's something Anderson. They're going to play that guy. And then they're also going to play Jackson Hawes. And they're going to run the ball, and they're going to run the ball, and they're going to run the ball. I agree. I have no issue with this concept of Allen ready to just put the team on his back. Like I think the Bills are absolutely going to lay. I think they're absolutely going to lay the wood here. But I just know that this team is going to run. Yeah, you gotta keep the ball out of Andy Dalton's hands. Actually, have we gotten a Bryce Young ankle report today? Because that would meaningfully change how I would think about Teteroy McMillan. I just do not love Tet. Have not pulled up my Elim pods yet. That'll probably be a little bit later here in the program. I have not looked. I don't even remember which teams I got through in the Eliminator on Underdog Fantasy, but I hope they're good. I hope, honestly, I hope my opponents have all players on bye. I hope they don't have one active player. I hope they literally cannot field an entire roster, and then I just get a walkover. All right, James Cook, Derrick Henry. I mean, if Tyler Warren's not going to get, okay, Tyler Warren goes. Matty Ice took George Kittle before Tyler Warren. Rashad White would have been very strong. Bo Nix is totally in play here. I don't love taking the wide receivers here, but yes, I did look at the one with Liam. I did look at the Eliminator pod that I have with Liam, and it is against a team that only has Tyler Algier at running back. Yes. Yeah, Dylan notes the one with Liam. Dylan, who are you? We need to know what Dylan wants to do with touchdown picks on Underdog this week, because this guy's the touchdown king. 190 Xer. All right, so this guy auto drafts Lamar, so that takes away one of my strategy elements here. AJ Brown is there. So what we are going to do is we are actually on this team. We are going to take George Pickens, and we are going to need a little bit of a different. You know what? I'm just going to take Dak Prescott now, and you guys can tell me if you think that's bad or not. But what taking Dak there instead of the wide receiver does is it actually kind of lets the room pick some diversification for me. I know that I want Pickens to be with Dak there. My brain, my like lizard brain, just is like, okay, we'll just take AJ Brown, take Chris Olave, take Jalen Waddle, take Devonta Smith, take T. Higgins, and I will basically just let the room do it for me. Like if you guys don't ever pull up random.org while you're drafting, which I do, you just pull up random.org, you type 1 through 5, click generate, and it'll pick a random one for you. You say, okay, Jalen Waddle's going to be 3, Tet's going to be 5, whatever. You should definitely do that, particularly with tight ends. But you can also just let the room do it for you. Like, I don't get Roma Dunze on this one, or because I have the last pick. Okay, no, I don't. I have the first pick of the 6th round. I agree. It feels very hard to scroll this week at wide receiver because the scrolls are so uncomfy. But just like really go look at what. Okay, so Stephon Diggs is the wide receiver 16 and Alec Pierce is the wide receiver 27. Diggs is, let's see here. Stephon Diggs, half PPR scoring, 11.6. Alec Pierce 8.6. You're that uncomfortable over 2.5 points, dude. And Chad, I'm not even saying you're wrong. I feel that uncomfortability, but that is why I like to do that, where I let the room decide for me. Exactly. It's like in poker when you let someone else make a decision for you in a close spot. Exactly. I feel like taking Bijan CMC, then pairing them with Daniel Jones. I mean, it's not even contrarian. You are just getting massive leverage. Whenever you take Daniel Jones, you get massive leverage on Jonathan Taylor. Same with taking Penix on a JT team or a CMC team. Diggs does not have a nice matchup. They're gonna throw 17 passes, bro. All right. So Waddle is available. Shaheed, Keon Coleman, Tez Johnson, Wandale. Let's do tight end first. And you know what? Evan Ingram draftable via the projections. We'll do some Evan Ingram. I could is Ted is gone. We'll do Michael Pittman Jr. Michael Pittman Jr. unstacked, uncorrelated. I do think obviously Michael Pittman Jr. on a team that doesn't have CMC, Bijan, or Jonathan Taylor feels quite comfortable because you were just getting like the perfect leverage team would be something like Drake London, George Kittle, and Michael Pittman Jr. That's perfect leverage on the 3 high-end running backs. Setting my tight end randomizer, but all the numbers are Hunter Henry. I like this point from Michael Hodson. Wide receiver is not ideal this week, but it seems that there will mean some really unique teams will doing well instead of pure chalk. I agree, right? Because what I think will happen is there will be a more even dispersion of all these wide receivers. You'll see more, you'll see a lower amount of chalk on the wide receiver 10, like Tet and Flowers and Olave and Waddle and Pittman. These guys will be drafted far less than a wide receiver 10 normally is. So first team of the stream, Dak Prescott, James Cook, Derrick Henry, George Pickens, Michael Pittman Jr., and Evan Ingram. Let's climb back in and see if we can get a top 3 pick and see if we can climb to the top of the mountain. Sometime viewer of the program, haven't seen him in the chat in a couple weeks, but sometime viewer of the Davis Maddock Fantasy Football YouTube channel. Shilly won the Wildcat last week with Tyler Warren and Trey McBride together on the same team. So shout out to my dude, Shilly. We got the 6th pick again. So we're going to have to differentiate inside of the same build. Another 6-hole draft, but we will find a way. We will persevere. Juwan Jennings is a very, very good leverage play, and I think Purdy himself actually is an interesting leverage play as well. Don't think Purdy is a bad play. I mean, really, I think the really interesting thing this week is I like the scrolls more than I normally do. Like, I think that just in general, an unowned or a relatively low-owned pairing of players is more interesting than it would be on average because I think the chalk at the top is far more fragile. I do think Buffalo is going to smoke. I guess just the way I would think about these, I think Buffalo is going to smoke Carolina. I think SF is going to smoke Houston. I actually think that Philly gets their revenge on New York. I think New England is out of sight against Cleveland. I think that Chicago fights back pretty well against Baltimore. I think this is probably the end of the Miami experience. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think there's any chance that Miami is able to fight back in this game? This time we'll do Lamb. And you know what? We'll do a weird team. We'll do the exact inverse. We'll do Lamb London this time. Remember Juwan Jennings' 50-point game? Wait until our Mims Shaheed wide receiver room wins with 8.7% combined draft. God, can you imagine? Miami will lose, but they can hang. I think they can hang. The Falcons are a shaky team. I mean, don't forget the Falcons got smoked by Carolina. Miami is live to fight back against the Falcons. 7.5 points is a lot of points. I think New Orleans as a 4.5 point home dog hangs pretty good. I do think Dallas gets it done against Denver. I think I think Indianapolis covers that crazy spread. Actually, it's some interesting games. I beat a third as J Buck states, a 30-0 loss is on our record. Yeah, A-Chain in the dome. I mean, A-Chain in the dome feels pretty good. I believe on thinking about DFS, Jacob literally said Bijan Robinson has a 50-point ceiling this week. And I was like, you know what? He does have a 50-point ceiling. Bijan could literally drop 50 points this week. It's crazy, but it's true. I mean, the only limiting factor is if there's a blowout is how many times do they want to get him the ball? Like Mahomes last week could have had 500 yards and 5 touchdowns, but the Chiefs just didn't. There was no need for it. They shut him down. Have you guys drafted Tyler Algier in a 6-man? All right, CD in London. Okay, we're into that next tier of guys at running back. So first thing we're going to do, we're really going to scroll at running back. All right, let's do, of course, George Kittle in this build. Get a little bit of leverage. I don't really think you want Javonte and CD together. I really don't think you do. All right, Brees it is. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Javonte Williams and CeeDee Lamb together. It feels like a lot of Javonte's high-end production has come without CeeDee Lamb, although that could be wrong. So against Dallas, he had 19 for 116 and 1. He sucked against Carolina. He smashed against the Jets with no CD. I guess he only had the 2 100-yard games. I can't quite reason through that one. It's true. You're right. I can't quite bring it in my head to take Chase Brown. Chase Brown did get a little bit of resurgence last week. Yeah, I believe he had his first run over 20 yards of the season. Shout out Chase Brown. I think Jake is probably correct that if the game total ends up going over 60, it's probably fine. Can really do whatever we want at quarterback. I wonder, do you guys think Michael Penix Jr. is draftable? That's maybe a more interesting question. Has anyone said revenge? Big time revenge for Javonte Williams. Team that drafted him, Sean Payton chased him out of town. Some of Sean Payton's former players hate him so much that they have to take to social media to say how much they hate him. Not just Russell Wilson has been stating how much he hates Sean Payton. That sentiment was echoed by multiple other former Saints players on X, the Everything app. Great little back and forth here. Nick says Michael Penix Jr. is absolutely not draftable. T. Cage has stated, I've definitely drafted Penix. If Carolina decides to stop trying to not hurt Chuba's feelings and just play Rico 75% of the snaps, Chuba would definitely be draftable this week. I don't have a ton of confidence there, actually. Not a ton. Because that's just not the way, like, Canales made his decision, and I think he's pretty likely to stick to that aforementioned decision. All right, so we need one more running back here. Could do Javonte. Could do the bring back with J.K. Dobbins. I think I like the bring back a little bit more. I certainly do not want to click Chase Brown. We will be taking Dakota Rain Prescott or maybe Brock Purdy. Dakota Rain or Purdy. Did I get frozen? You guys see this? There we go. It froze on me for a second. Okay. Well, that was a little bit strange. Dakota Rain. You know what? We're going to do it because this is just going to be such a low-owned strategy. And I didn't want to take Javonte in here either. So we're going to do Dobbins as the bring back. So we have Purdy Q-Tag with George Kittle, Breece Hall, J.K. Dobbins, CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, and George Kittle. If Purdy doesn't play, this is probably going to end up being a Dak Prescott lineup anyway. Like that, I would say he would be my most likely swap. So it didn't really matter either way. But if Purdy does play, I end up with some mega leverage there. Brock Purdy, Breece Hall, J.K. Dobbins, CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, George Kittle, semi-scroll with Dobbins. Honestly, like a little bit of a double scroll at running back, and then super unique. Is my team too chalk from the 2-hole? Taylor, Henry, Igbuka, Adunze. I bet that team is duped. I mean, it doesn't. If it's the winning team, who cares? Shanahan on whether it's a reach to say that Brock Purdy's on track to start this week. I would say that it is. No one has said that. Okay. Revenge games matter less for running backs when the D is simply better than you run. Yeah, I definitely don't think Pearsall is going to play. All right, let us go do a Dawg Bowl qualifier because I think the 12-man stuff is pretty interesting. 12-man stuff is hard this week, but in another, oh my God, and we got a 101. All right, I got to lock in. Davis, you absolutely need to lock in here. You cannot mess this up. All right, we're locked in from the 101 in a Dawg Bowl qualifier. Drafting out of the 1 hole in a Dawg Bowl qualifier. I'm locked in, dude. I just think they have no idea about Purdy. I listened to that interview because I'm sweating Purdy. I think it's like a total toss-up. So here's the interesting thing. Do you think there is any chance at all, that the 49ers have a little bit of buyer's remorse on his contract? I obviously would disagree with that, but I'm just wondering if you guys think if the 49ers have any buyer's remorse on it. I really like Brock Purdy. I was a Brock Purdy hater. GM Patrick. All right, so in this draft, we got my boy Patrick. We've got Buster Boys. We've got Gunnar Ross, Hotsy Sauce, my boy Josh Dombrowski, and E. Coxer. Those are the only usernames that I recognize. Yeah, I think I actually think this is nice too. Like Mac Jones being a capable backup. What contract did Mac Jones sign? Mac Jones signed a 2-year, $8.4 million contract with the San Francisco 49ers. He should get a raise. Mac Jones should absolutely get a raise. If he is going to agree to being a backup quarterback, he should get a raise. I'm gonna do my best. I don't know how many of you guys listen to any of my like real football stuff when I do it on the Takecast, but I was a big Purdy hater, and I really changed my opinion on him last year. Yeah, Mac is now locked in to being a starting quarterback in the NFL or just a rosterable quarterback in the NFL for like 10 more years. Chad, this just stopped me in my tracks. You just gave me a heart attack, bro. The Raiders overpaying for Mac Jones feels written in the stars. My God. I've never been more certain that something is going to happen. The Raiders trade what? Like a 4th round pick to the 49ers and then give Mac Jones a huge contract extension. Just like how big is that contract extension going to be? I don't even want it to happen. Okay. Rashad White goes. That's obviously the dream. My boy, Josh Dombrowski, Casey Pollock drafting here. He posted in the members only Discord yesterday. He had already done like 40 Dog Bowl qualifiers, and he had like 50% Rashad White. The guy just knows football. He is a real knower. I'm surprised Chip Kelly has not been fired yet. Jones's career seems very on par with Garoppolo. Well, Jimmy Garoppolo started 2 Super Bowls. 1 Super Bowl. 2 Super Bowls, 1 Super Bowl. So I don't think so. Mac Jones has a long way to go. What are Will you buy half of my eliminator team? I will not. Geno did get a bag, but there's always a way out of these contracts. It's the NFL, dude. There's always a way out of these deals. Geno got how much guaranteed? Geno got $66 million guaranteed. There's a way. I mean, first off, there's already an out for 0 dead cap. There's always a way. Never been more certain in my life. By the way, have you guys looked at this showdown tonight? I mean, it's unbelievable. This might be it might be my favorite showdown slate of all time. Okay. We are up in 3 picks. We have Jonathan Taylor. I do not want Scattaboo. I do not want DeAndre Swift particularly. I would do the Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown double tap. I've actually got another idea that I would like to try and execute. I think I might do Aaron Jones playing tonight. Okay. That is interesting. Aaron Jones back active. That matters for some of my fantasy teams. All right, so AJ Brown goes, so I can't do okay. All right, I am going to do J.K. Dobbins. And I'm also going to do George Kittle. So we're saving it all at the end for wide receiver. Wide receiver does not matter. The cap is real, but it's only real in the sense that you have to use your actual dollars to pay for it. Like NFL owners that are rich have to make up for that by paying the cash up front. At least that is my understanding. I could be wrong about that, but that has been my understanding. GM Josh. Okay. So we have Jonathan Taylor and J.K. Dobbins lined up. We now basically open up the oyster of the world to ourselves because we can take Mac Jones at quarterback or Purdy if we want to set up the swap. We could do Purdy. I definitely think Jordan Mason is the better play tonight because he's more expensive than Aaron Jones, and everyone is going to trend towards Aaron Jones. That's my first thought. But I already did a whole podcast on the Showdown slate for this evening. And maybe if we keep streaming for a while, maybe we'll even go over to Run the Sims and actually run the Sims. So I think for 12 mans, Shaheed actually might be a little bit overdrafted, but you've got Mims, you've got Juwan Jennings, Troy Franklin, Keon Coleman, Jalen Knoll, Jerry Jeudy is clickable, Luther Burden is clickable. Honestly, the only thing that I'm disappointed about taking George Kittle is it did not give me an opportunity to click Colston Loveland again. Colston Loveland would basically be my my top target in dog bowls. Do you guys know that Nyheim Hines is playing tonight? And Jarrett Patterson, he have 8 touchdowns in one game, is going to be playing tonight as well. All right, Hot C Sauce is not scared. He's playing Jalen Waddle. Buster Boys with the Teteroy McMillan. Okay, if you drafted Teteroy McMillan, you guys tell me, would you draft Andy Dalton? Tubanus in the 2-hole has Bijan, Zay Flowers, and Roma Dunze. Yeah, he is big time cooking. The Mims Franklin Wars have defined the Dog Bowl round 6. That feels like basically the most important question to get right this week in all formats. Who do you guys prefer? Do you like Troy Franklin or do you like Marvin Mims more? Because I think it's arguable either way. Troy Franklin on the year, 78% of the routes, 20% targets per route run. Marvin Mims, 53% of the routes, 21% of the targets. Mims with the higher A dot, same number of end zone targets. It's true. Actually, it is Nyheim Miller-Hines now. I think Luther Burden is absolutely clickable in 12 mans. It's true. Jarrett Patterson walked, so Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt could run. Shout out Jarrett Patterson, true story, did not have a reception of a pass his final year at the University of Buffalo Bulls. Was at NC State the same time as Nyheim. I'll be donating with him in some showdown lineups. I don't think he's a donation tonight. I honest to God, I actually really think that he is he's really strong. Kamani Vidal, I'm very interested. I'm just very interested to see him play overall tonight, because how much of his performance against Miami was because it was Miami. Yeah, I can see it in my mind's eye. I can see Marvin Mims cooking Deron Bland. Like, oh, Deron Bland goes to the inside and Marvin Mims goes to the outside, and that's it. That's all she wrote. The ball's already in the air. It's already like the game blouses. Marvin Mims. Coastal Chris also in for old Mr. Marvarino. And I wonder what the PS2 dispersion is going to be. Do they stick Patrick Surtain on George Pickens and just say, we're wiping you out of the game? Do they try and limit CeeDee Lamb with Patrick Surtain? It's kind of a very interesting chess match. All right. Got to dial it up at wide receiver. May still available. Ooh. Caleb Williams, Luther Burden. No, Davis, you have to lock in. It's never been more important for you to be locked in than it is right now. Oh, I kind of missed on all the wide receivers. I kind of just got owned at wide receiver. All right, I got to find one ceiling wide receiver from this group. Could be Mims, could be Jennings, could be Jalen Knoll. You know what? We're going with the Mims Areno. And then, you know what? I'm about to shock the world right now. What if Keon Coleman goes for 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns? Have you guys ever pondered it? Have you pondered it? I know from looking at the projections, Mooney could have been okay there. I know the projections are more hip there. I'm pretty if it's MVP Josh Allen mode, Keon is one of the guys who can benefit. Rusty is in for what if Keon. I mean, imagine how poetic it would be. I get a dog bowl seat with a guy who I've done nothing but shit on for weeks, months, years, honestly. I didn't like Keon Coleman as a prospect. You know, I'm also very excited to watch Aronde Gadsden play in like the prime time tonight. Gadsden. It's not Gaston, it's Gadsden. Gadsden. Don't let a clanker think for you. Better not drop the baby here. Keon, come on down. I'm going to keep it super clear. I'm going to keep it super real with you, Bingo Bongo. I do in BRs, I do a lot of letting the clanker think for me. I really do. That's just kind of how she goes. I don't think there's a better way to play it. Well, I know all about, I don't know all about, but I know about the OG Gadsden just from researching this Gadsden, because I loved him as a prospect. I wanted the Chiefs to take him. Yeah, I think we're either going to take Purdy for the swap. So it'd be Purdy for the swap. Yeah, that's it. I mean, this team is either going to be quarterbacked by Purdy, and then is Mr. C Money here? He's probably not. Well, one of you guys remind me on Saturday morning to set Mac Jones on top of my swaps and 12-mans. Can one of you guys on Sunday morning remind me to do that? Because I'm not going to remember. I mean, I think it's Gadsden over Fannin clearly in season long. I don't even think that is particularly close. Do you guys think that is close? Gadsden just had 170 yards and a touchdown. He had the 6th highest scoring rookie fantasy tight end game in the history of the National Football League. The only guy who scored more points than him as a rookie, it was Mike Ditka, and then it was a bunch of funny names like Tungsten Arm or Doyle. Like it was all guys from like 1942. Like and I obviously know Herbert had like a bazillion dropbacks, so they're like, wow. I lived long enough to see Nick Westbrook-Akeen be selected in the Dawg Bowl. Nick Westbrook-Akeen at pick 63. I really like tonight jamming into the large field stuff because the Chargers pass catchers are all going to be under-owned because they are splitting, which doesn't feel great. Yeah, they were down 14 points the entire game. Yeah, Justin Herbert dropped back 61 times. mean, I think real old heads remember Tungsten Armo Doyle. I think Leggett is good enough to be a thing. I know Penix getting undrafted even in dog bowls is crazy. It is sort of nuts. Do I have a backup plan of Purdy? I guess every team has a quarterback now, so I don't need a backup plan. Looks like everyone mostly waits to take their tight ends until the last round. I probably wouldn't take Kittle too often. I think I cost myself some real equity at wide receiver by doing that. A Rondé Gadsden catch versus the Jets, 2002, is a must watch. Yeah, I cannot believe Peter told me. I cannot believe Peter called me a Dodgers fan. What is Legat's targets per route run? It can't be good. I really like tonight. I really like playing 2 of Keenan, QJ, and Ladd together with Rondé Gadsden and the captain. All right. Broccolus Purdy. Dog Bowl team. Brock Purdy, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Marvin Mims, Keon Coleman, George Kittle. Bang. What do we think of Mr. Patrick Klein's team? CMC, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, Ramondre, Goddard. Honestly, I just would not have done Goddard here. On this team, I would rather do like Pitts or Kincaid, but I like that team. Mims and Coleman at wide receiver. That's a no-no. Yeah, it sure is. I mean, the Chargers are definitely going to throw tonight. Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. All right. Let's see. Do we think we have enough folks in here watching to do the Fleaflicker? Let's see. The Fleaflicker, the $75 single entry. There are 6 spots waiting to fill. Let's see if we can fill it. Fleaflicker. It's easy to take Marvin Mims on site credits. Harrison Smith is so old, he's going to end up having covered both Gadsdens. Do you know how easy it will be to get Kittle 2 touchdowns against Houston? I believe that Houston has the #1 scoring defense in football. I can easily fact check that. Points allowed to Houston Texans, 88. Far and away. Far and away. Someone else had a good. Yeah, Kittle's projection is not that much better than the 6 rounders. I think I made a no-no there. I think I did quite poorly. Yeah, 14 a game before Seattle. Yeah, they had the bye already, but they're still better than everyone else. Better than the Falcons, better than the Packers, better than the Vikings, better than the Bills, better than the Steelers. Better by a lot. Now, as T-Bear points out, National Tight End Day and a 0 the game before. I mean, I don't think the Houston Texans defense is like the greatest defense of all time. I will be playing Kamani Vidal and Gadsden way more than the field. I think the field is somewhat scared of the illusory nature of their performances, but I am a full believer. Kittle needs Purdy. They are besties. Is that true? Is that true? Okay, this is the number. I've been saying this and saying this and saying this. I've been saying it time after time. I need my friends at Underdog Fantasy. Code Davis, play $5, get 100. My banner is actually wrong. All right, there we go. We filled it. Give me a number one. Come on, give me a. Let's go. Let's go. We got the second pick. Shipper. All right, we've got Eggers, we've got Kobe Goat, we've got Elgru, we got Pat Klein, we got Turbinus, we got Dan J. Preciado, we got Seton 11, we got T-Box, we got James Fitz, we got E. Coxer, and we got Philip Anthony. We are cooking. GM, sir. All right. So we are going to do, I'm not going to take George Kittle this time. Elgru was last year's Best Ball Mania winner, by the way. Giving back to the community here. Wow, Eggers hopped in watching the stream and got gifted the 101. No one today is running better than Mr. Eggers. All right, give me a little Bijan Robinson. All right, so I don't want Kittle this time. Probably not going to take Purdy. Be very interesting to see what is available there. I actually kind of look forward to drafting the old $75 single entry Fleaflicker each week on the Dawg application. Purdy targets tight ends more. Yeah, but Mac Jones was what was the name of that guy? He was spamming Jake Tongas. Jake Tongas was like a literal, like he was like a nothing. He had like 800 receiving yards in college. In fact, Jake Tongas had a game with more receptions in the NFL than he ever had when he was in college. I want to say he went to Stanford. So that could be wrong. Do you guys think Justin Jefferson is going to smash tonight? I'm feeling it in my plums that we get a Jefferson smash. I also think we might see a higher scoring game tonight. I don't know if Minnesota can afford to turtle it this evening. I believe it is $2,000 up top in the Fleaflicker. $2,000 to first, $1,700 for second. What an interesting payout structure. $1,000 to third, $800 to fourth, $700 to fifth. So top 10 in this one is pretty nice because it's just very small. Oh man. Remember Dalton Keene and Devin Asiasi? I remember. Yeah, Herbert's going to have a good game tonight. Chargers play a lot of zone. Wentz over 1.5 Is that real? Wentz 1.5 passing touchdowns is 2x. All right, hold on. We got to go to the Champions tab here. I need to do some investigating. Champions tab. Carson Wentz. No, it's 1.0x. If it was a 2x, we would be diving in. Penix at home in 5 games, 97 passer rating, 235 yards per game, 6 touchdowns, 2 rush TD, 9 yards per attempt. That is a giant discrepancy. It really is. Feels like the Chargers stomp the Vikings here. Well, if they stomp them, you're not getting 300 yards, I don't think. That feels unlikely. Okay. London goes, Lamar goes, Rashad White goes. That that drafter over on the turn and the 12 mans, the 12-hole drafter is just like, come on. I do think if Harbaugh says today, all right, Lamar is playing, I do think he will rise pretty significantly. I think he will almost become a second round pick. Yeah, that's my opinion. Well, the thing about the zero burger against Carolina was they gained more yards and got more first downs, which I just thought was very funny. Okay. We got to lock in. Oh, God, the running backs are so bad. It's so bad. What do you do, man? What do you do? All right, we're going grown man hunting. We're going to take AJ Brown. And I've got a plan. I think Wentz turnovers in first half. Herbo hits 225 in the first half. 225 is a lot of points or a lot of yards in the first half. I don't know about that one, brother. Definitely running a double kicker in at least one defense lineup. The defenses are going to be underowned tonight in Showdown. That's for sure. All right, AJ Brown. Come on, man. Come on, Eggers. Don't do it. I got a plan. And I'm going to execute the plan. We're about to take the grown man himself, Tedderoy McMillan. I'm believing what I'm selling to myself. Skip that second tier running back. I think there's a pretty big tier break at wide receiver or at running back after Brees goes. Like, I think after Brees, you could tell me that the guys could go in like literally any direction or any order. Like, would it surprise anyone if, I don't know, let's say, would it surprise anyone if Tajay Spears outscored Quinshon Judkins? Why would AJ be a good early pick? Well, what would there be any? He's fine. AJ Brown is not injured, bro. He's fine. AJ Brown is a good pick because he's a good player. Very, very hip to AJ Brown. GM. Thank you, Benjamin. That's very kind, bro. Appreciate you, man. Oh, well, my good friend Nick just informed me I have the wrong week on the thumbnail. So I should probably go fix that, huh? I guess that's what happens, man. You get too full of yourself. You get too many things going and you don't realize that week 8 is not week 7. All right, fix is incoming. I'm literally going to fix it right now. They're never going to know. They're never going to know, bro. Would I rather 10K in cash or 10K more subscribers? 10K more easily. Well, if AJ Brown doesn't play, then I will just lose. Yes, Coxer nails the absolute definitive truth that to win this week, you will have to get the Denver Broncos correct. That could mean anything, right? That could mean fading them. That could mean knowing it's Cortland Sutton week. That could mean knowing it is it could be RJ Harvey week. It could be any of those dudes. But getting that correct is how you'll win this week. What's the threshold for that? Way more than 20K. 10,000 YouTube subscribers is worth a lot of money in terms of sponsorships and partnerships and collaborations and all that stuff. It would definitely behoove me to get the subscribers more than it would behoove me to get the cash. All right, Philip Anthony took Rico Dowdle. I tell you what, Rico Dowdle is probably a pretty good click in 12 mans because there certainly is a chance. My good friend, Coach Roush, you can find good fantasy football over the internet, but the vibes in here make it the best. Appreciate the content. I appreciate you, brother. Troy Franklin at 4,200 seems fun. Well, have you seen how much Marvin Mims costs? Have you gotten hip to the cost of one Mr. Marvin Mims Areno? All right, Nick, the thumbnail is updated. We are now displaying the correct week. Week 8. Obviously, Derrick Henry's beautiful face in there. Yeah, Marvin Mims is 3,800. Rashid Shaheed is 4,700. Oh, okay. I'm a little lost right here. Damn, Shaheed goes. Could have taken Shaheed as a third wide receiver. I have all right, I'm gonna put it to you guys. Ramondre Stevenson or Woody Marks for this team. Ramondre Stevenson or Woody Marks on this team. I'll do whatever you say. Ramondre or Woody. I'm partial to both of them, and I don't have to take them now because both of them are. All right, you guys say Woody. Well, I'll let the clock tick down. We've got Woody, neither Marks. No college football for me this week, brother. Too busy. Clearly Woody. Mike C is our first Ramondre vote. Wow, Algier and Bijan. Can you imagine? I'll say this: if I was maxing 12 mans, 1 million bajillion %, I would do at least one Algier with Bijan. People would be so mad. I think I would do Kamara over Stevenson rest of the season. The running backs are bad, Mr. Dodger 24. They're real bad. Wow, Ty just did it in the last DBQ. All right, so he's got you covered. Wow, this dude took Mims. Eggers with the shipper. Drafted Marvin Mims. All right, I'm going to do it. I'm taking Jaquavius Woody Marks. 3 receptions last week. Tough game for them. That's my boy. Jaquavius Woody Marks will take a tight end with our last pick. Trade Kamara and Shaheed? Absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime you can get Rashid Shaheed, you're living fancy free, bro. Rashid Shaheed is who you need in week 8. That's what they're saying. All right, Bijan, AJ Brown, Teteroy McMillan. Do you guys like that Dan Jones, by the way? Daniel Jones, leverage on Eggers' team at the 101. Daniel Jones and then 49er stacks are just such good leverage on those mega teams out of the early spots. That's why I think Michael Penix should definitely be drafted more often in the 12 mans just as leverage on Bijan. I don't know if I've ever seen a projection as aggressive as Bijan's this week. It's absolutely insane stuff. Man, can you guys believe Chauncey Billups was involved in a rigged mafia poker game? Gotta be one of the most absurd stories. When do the Trailblazers play next? What's gonna happen to Shaden Sharp, dude? But you don't just like Stevenson versus Cleveland. I mean, what is the difference in their projection? It's got to be about half a point. The Jailblazers are back. I need to be talked out of going ham on Herbert tonight. Can you explain to me how they move the football without him throwing 40 times? They just are too conservative of a team. They will not throw 40 times if they don't have to. My buddy used to play in this crazy home game with Paul Pierce in LA, straight D-gen, apparently. I actually have heard that about Paul Pierce. All right. I meant to look up. Okay, I'm looking up the difference between. All right, this is FanDuel scoring. We've got. Where's Ramondre? Ramondre for 10.9, Kamara for 12.8. I mean, it's about the same. Kamani Vidal, 16 for 130, brother. I'm hip. Oh, come on. Kamani Vidal is not bad. He's a totally fine player. All right. Bijan Robinson, AJ Brown, Tedroy McMillan, Daniel Jones, and Jaquavius Woody Marks. So in terms of tight ends that make sense for this build, I mean, Dalton Schultz would actually make sense. You just double up. E. Coxer. What a jerk, man. E. Coxer shipped Colston Loveland. Oh, terrible. I'm going to take Sean Tucker in one of these 12-mans. You're deep in it, brother. You're feeling the sickness. Bijan Robinson, AJ Brown, Tedroy McMillan, Daniel Jones. I think I actually am going to take Dalton Schultz. Double up on the Houston players here. Likely, not for me. I've never been an Isaiah Likely guy. And it's hard to convert to an Isaiah Likely guy. It's true. The Sean Tucker, it's true. Could be the last chance to take Taysom Hill in the 6th round. You know what, bingo bongo? I bet I'll have many more opportunities to do it. Because Taysom could have 40 points, multiple. Yeah, I'm going to take Dalton Schultz. Taysom Hill could literally have multiple 40-point games, and he still would not project for that many points. Sean Tucker's the casual play. Isaiah Davis for the sharps for the impending Brees trade. Dude, imagine Brees gets traded tomorrow. Isaiah Davis goes to the 3rd round of 12-man drafts. All right, boys. My team in the Fleaflicker. Bijan Robinson, AJ Brown, Tedroy McMillan, Daniel Jones, Woody Marks, and Dalton Schultz. Leggett in the last round is probably better than Tet in the 3rd. I wouldn't think so, but I don't know. Maybe. Let's see. Carolina Panthers wide receivers. Tet for 10.4. Tet definitely is a bad pick from the base projections. And 6.7 points for Leggett. My Nico swaps will hit like crack. Who are you swapping to, bro? Bijan, AJ Brown, Tet, Dan Jones, Jaquavius Woody Marks, and Dalton Schultz. Bada bing, bada boom. Oh, the single entry PTP is already closed. I was about to hop in and do a PTP. Is the PTP hurry up available, or is she all gone? Nope, she's all gone. It's all over. All right, no PTP. Let's go back and do a main slate BR. Oh yes, bang bang. Took Cincinnati in my home league survivor. No, I think I'm gonna take multiple Cincinnati survivors. Obviously like a lot of the PTP hurry up is there, but not the PTP bash. All right. Oh, interesting. The base rate projections had Bijan is the one. PTP hurry up is for my own time. I can do that. I can do that on my own hours. I'm rolling with the Patriots. Patriots are good in Survivor. Really thought Houston was going to pop this year. Man, Houston's offense is just very, very boring and uncreative. No diverse route concepts. It just all seems pretty horrible, honestly. Main slate, week 8, BR. Honestly, Atlanta and Survivor. There's quite a good spot. There are a lot of good Survivor spots this week. I'm not willing to give CJ Stroud too much of a. Are we giving him a pass, man? I don't know about giving CJ Stroud a pass. Mitch Comp, Colt Fang MF. He might be the new Patrick Barnes YouTube. He's in my rooms all the time. Yeah, I mean, Indy is the all-time Survivor pick this week for sure. I don't care. I personally do not care about the existence of PS2. I am drafting. Oh, there you go. Colt fan GMF. Not Colt Fang MF. Colt fan G. What does GMF stand for? Raider Blaze knows ball. Taking Tyler Warren at the turn is totally cromulent this week. Tyler Warren, my mental model on Tyler Warren has him so many points better than all the other tight ends. He just like starts every game with like 8. I have like 40% in BR. 40% of Warren. I think 40% of Warren is totally fine. But, the tall buildings in Vegas, they're calling in. Titans are covering for sure. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know if Carly Gordon Ursay will allow it. She might not be hip to it. All right, Lamb Cook. I think the thing is I think a lot of the times, even in the third round, you're just not even going to be able to get Rachaad White. I think Rachaad White is people are just too knowledgeable of the experience. He's just going to run downhill. I am not giving CJ Stroud a pass. I'm not giving CJ Stroud a pass the same way people didn't give Mahomes a pass last year when he was dinking and dunking all over the place. CD, James Cook, Rachaad White. Do I want to do a Dak team? Do I want to do a Knicks? Maybe you know what? We're going to do a Knicks naked team. And then we're going to scroll at tight end. I agree. The Colts are really not going to get pushed. Cam Ward, he's got, it's not even his fault. Well, I mean, it's his fault a little bit, but he's just got nothing. Yeah, run 4 verts. Woody marks up the middle, and yeah, just brilliant, brilliant stuff. Like, the only way that Woody Marks can be a competent NFL player is to get him outside of the tackles, to use him in, um, in the passing game. Or get him outside of the tackles, at the very least. All right, so we got Knicks. This could be a Mims team. Have I taken Mims yet in one of these? The thing is I gotta chill with the Mims stuff. I cannot have 1,000,000,000% Marvin Mims. Not cromulent. Not a good idea. I watched a breakdown of the Colts' 3rd and long play last week. Yeah, Steichen. I mean, Steichen is running the 3rd most successful offense in fucking NFL history with Daniel Jones. Speaking of which, here you go. Michael Pittman Jr. It's not a Tyler Warren team. It's not a Jonathan Taylor team. We're going to take old MPJ. And then we are going to end the stream with the most cromulent of all picks. We are going to take one Mr. Taysom Hill with our final pick. Bada bing, bada boom. Bo Nix, James Cook, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Pittman Jr., and Taysom Hill. All right, boys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Do me a favor and go watch Week 8 NFL DFS picks and game-by-game preview, thinking about DFS with Jacob Sanderson. I love all you guys. I appreciate all of you. Hope you guys will become members of the channel. $5 a month. Members-only videos. Get to come hang out with us in Discord and chat ball. And I will talk to y'all tomorrow.